Morning, Nick.
Hey, how's it going? Just the left one?
What do you gotta get ready? All right.
We're just getting going here, everybody.
We're up on everything.
Are we up? All right. Well, thank you for joining us. If you're here, I'm sure people are still rolling in.
Yeah, I think we're here.
Yeah, just double check.
I don't know if I see sound on. Oh, that's this. Sorry.
We missed 2 weeks due to summer shenanigans. Summer was very busy, and we were going to try to pull one off, and it's like,
Yeah, it was going to be a huge cluster of remote coordination that probably
wasn't worth it.
Would have been too frustrating.
So thank you for being back with us. And as always, this is a 034 Motorsport live chat. This is a Q&A session. We're here to answer your burning questions about all things 034. Certainly happy to talk about anything else as well. And sometimes we address drama in the
at times
in the community, so which we'll be doing a little bit about. And we always take a no BS approach to responses, and we're happy to weigh in on controversial topics and say what we think. And hopefully nobody's feelings get hurt to that. So, but if they do, we're happy to hear about it. And we are here to solve problems. I think that's something we need to always make sure people understand. And
whether there are problems, your problems, we're doing everything we can to smooth it all out.
Yeah, we are actually here to solve problems. We've been in business since 2004-ish, at least 2005. Yeah. I started selling stuff in 2003, but you don't have a business that's gone for almost 20 years if you don't solve problems. I'm sure we've pissed a lot of people off, but we try really hard to solve and address every issue. We know we're not perfect. No company is. But we do our best to respond and improve and solve if there is an issue. We even do manufacturer-style recalls quite often.
And that's another thing. I don't know if I can't think of any other.
I've never seen it from another company
in our industry that's gone far.
Maybe they're out there, but I see a lot of stuff. Anyways, so please put in your questions, your thought-provoking questions here in whatever social media interface you're in, and we will be happy to start responding to those things. So real quick, some of you may be tuning in, and I don't even want to try to make this guy more famous, but there's a YouTube guy, I don't know what are these called, social media influencer, who makes videos named Adam Blender. And there's lots of guys out there doing this, and there's some gals doing it too. And whatever. We've known about him for a while, and we're aware that he's aligned himself with one of our competitors, Integrated Engineering, and most of his videos are very favorable to them, and it's fine. It's whatever. We have social media influencers that we align with. I've heard that other companies will pay pretty generous sums of money to gain people's allegiance. We will sometimes provide parts at no charge or discounted so that they can be reviewed. This is nothing new, right? Every company's been doing this since dawn of business, commerce. And we're always like, here's the parts. Just be honest with it. If you're unhappy, just be fair, But of course, everyone wants to have, favorable. So, anyways, he's been out there, and it's fine. And that's not, we don't have any issues. We get it. But more and more, he was making comments about how we were a dishonest company, we were unethical, and making these kind of very vague, very kind of shadowed comments about, how dishonest we are, bad business practices, and how he would never do business with us. And he really hasn't. I think he's placed 2 small orders with us ever. So anyways, we kept hearing about this, and he's been making these comments very publicly. And over the years, I've learned to be very direct. And if somebody has a problem with me, I just say, let's talk about it, you know. And we've never really invited anyone on the show to resolve a conflict like that. But we talked here and was like, you know what, let's invite him on the live and see what he has to say, you know. And Nate actually spent a bunch of time figuring out how to like blend him in, no pun intended. And you know, we could just talk. I'm honestly really curious to know.
We want to know what the issues are.
Yeah, I mean, I sleep really well at night, knowing that I'm not perfect, that I'm honest and I'm ethical, and I try really hard to be direct and forthcoming to our customers and to the market. We get attacked and accused of all kinds of stuff, but we're very intentional here at 034 Motorsport. We do things a certain way for a certain reason. So I'm honestly open to, and interested to hear what he could possibly be referring to, because I have never. I mean, I just don't know, right? It's not like there's all these dark secrets that I'm protecting or the staff here are protecting that, oh my gosh, he may have uncovered. There's nothing. There's nothing to talk about. It's and we're very transparent on this show. I mean, I wouldn't come on here every week answering every question that comes along if I was afraid of what might come out. So we invited him on.
Yeah, and I feel like we've come across this before too, as we, you know, have grown or changed or, you know, progressed through the markets, and you find out at some point that there's this other narrative that all these other people are just talking about.
It's a narrative, a made up,
you know, around you that end up just kind of gaining traction or you know, influencing what people think about you that you don't even know about, is, you know, some sort of twisted version of some event or truth that's out there, and you know, it's nothing you can address or you know, correct, because you don't even.
You can address it and correct it.
You can address it if you know.
If you knew about it. So that's the purpose of, like, well, maybe there's some stuff that he's heard that he's misunderstood. We do have people that troll us and who attack us, you know, every chance they get, and they kind of spin things around and make us look really bad. And, you know, all we can do is listen to that feedback and make sure that we're doing our best, and that's what we do. So we invited him on as a company. I think we did a post on one of the Facebook groups.
Several.
And that's all we said. We didn't say anything else until like a week later. I went and made a couple comments directly to him after he made a video and released it and stuff. But he immediately had a blend down, which is a form of kind of a meltdown, and you know, took it very, very hard that we had invited him. He
started making memes about it, like,
and that we had called him out, or we had attacked him, or we were saying bad things about it. We didn't say anything about him. We just said, you've said bad things about us. We'd like to know what's going on. Why don't you come and talk to us? Then he said it was terrible that we did it publicly.
On an internet video platform where you're a presenter and a you know, you have a you know, presence on already. It's nothing outside of anything normal or, you know, simple for you.
So we went in this hoping that we could have a level-headed, rational conversation with him. But what we ended up seeing was that he just kind of spiraled out of control and continued to double and triple down on this idea that there is a lot of bad and terrible stuff going on here, and we're super unethical. And you know, was shocked and dismayed that this is the only time we've ever done this. We've never asked anyone else to come on the show, you know. But he's a public social media figure. I don't know how he has, maybe 500 or 1,000 subscribers or something. He's like 11,000. He has 11,000 subscribers. Okay, very public. That's a lot of subscribers. How many do we have?
Not that many.
Yeah, we don't even have that many. So
9,000.
We're at 9,000. So this is someone with a bigger social media, you know, YouTube reach than we have, certainly YouTube, and who's saying these bad things about us, you know. So why is he so shocked that we would just like to talk to him and hear what he has to say? And then there's like this idea, well, I'm not going to tell you guys who told me this stuff.
Okay, well, like snitch on his,
that's fine.
His sources.
We're not asking you to say anything that you don't want to say. We're just asking you to clarify what you're saying. Like, if you don't want to say names, that's fine. You could encourage those people to contact us so we could address their concerns, which we'd love to do. Or you can just state, you know, clearly and factually what the concerns are, so that we can at least be aware of it.
Apparently, he just posted a video right for this.
So he did. he dropped some big video. We don't have time to address it on the live today.
I gave you crib notes.
No, I know. We're not going to address it today. Maybe after this is over, we'll record a response or something. But we scanned through all his video, and he's just grasping and reaching. And it's basically, he's now made a video saying all the things he doesn't like about 034 Motorsport that are unethical. And we've read through them, and we're not really seeing anything either accurate, truthful, or actionable on our part. It's a lot of kind of blowing things up, out of proportion, or in some cases just making things up. So we're going to address those. There's some assertions that we lied about our weight reduction in one of our world records. That's not true. We posted everything about our weight reduction. There's one of his assertions is that we falsified our stage 2 B9 3.0 T tuning, and that we inflated it. That's not true. We did stage 1 with stock configuration. Stage 2 we recommend intake and intercooler, so that the stage 2 numbers are posted with intake and intercooler. We require
it. So that's.
But we're very upfront about it. We did not do a stage 2 stock configuration because, one, you have to put the cat on. That's what stage 2 is, and we require the intercooler and intake as supporting mods for that.
Stage 2, as we've said, is for a racing situation. You're not going to have.
We're not lying or falsifying our stage 2 numbers. Stage 1 is stock configuration. Stage 2, you have to have the intake. And then so many times on this live, we've stated that most of the gains of stage 2, about 75%, come from the intake and intercooler, not the high flow cat.
So we could have inflated our stage 1 numbers, I guess, by running all of our testing with a more modified vehicle and posting that as our dyno numbers.
I mean, if somebody would like to see the numbers, then they could ask for them, but that's not us falsifying. So it's just a bunch of stuff like that. And honestly, I'm looking for anything actionable because I like solving problems and I like improving. But we'll continue to scan through that. And instead of coming on here and talking to us, he chose to make this video. And I think as we suspected, there's not a lot of substance to the accusations, and ultimately this is our competitors' biased social media representative attacking us. And so that's what we suspected, is that he's probably doing this as a form of if you can't make your company look good, try to make the other company look bad, and maybe your company look better or something. I don't know what's going on with him, but I just wanted to address that we're well aware of what's going on. We invited him on here. He was adamant about not coming, and then he posted this video. So that's kind of where Blendgeddon is at right now, and we will continue to follow with great curiosity and interest to see what happens next.
Just reading through some of these crib notes now,
but it's been interesting. I mean, the response from the community has not been in his favor.
Yeah,
it's been kind of a bloodbath for him. Even IE customers and we've seen IE kind of distance ourselves from him. So this is the world we live in. I'm sorry we even have to focus on this, but social media is a big marketing realm that all companies have to exist in and with now. And so we do have to address this stuff. We can't just. Well, we could ignore it. I really don't want to. I mean, we spend a lot of time trying really hard to be an honest, ethical company, and then to have someone go out there and accuse you of being unethical. It's at least they should have to explain themselves. So, anything else?
I mean, that's the brass tacks of it.
Yeah.
Whenever we decided we want to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm looking at these right now.
Maybe we can
stuff that's just you could see a lot of these situations from a very jaded angle and apply some
demonize it.
Yeah,
I also don't want to come across as being super defensive. We are asking for feedback.
Yeah,
but at the same time, we take good, honest feedback from our customers every day, and we try to be very gracious and open to listening to anything that our customers say. This guy is not a customer. He's our competitor's marketing agent who they have some kind of deal with. And this is who's attacking us. So there is going to be some level of defensiveness as far as making sure that we're representing ourselves in a way that's accurate and truthful. But again, if there's any grain or iota of actionable feedback, we'll take it for sure. But so far what I'm seeing is nothing of substance. So. Okay, let's move on to some questions. Do we have some new questions coming? At the top. All right, cool. Alrighty. Someone's asking flex fuel for Mark 7s.
Active development
We
currently.
do have cars here.
Cars here
That are
running.
flex fuel.
Yep. So we are working on it.
It'd be nice to. Do we have any 4.0 T mounts? We should probably talk about that
That'd be a good one.
since we've spent so much
Maybe.
time talking about.
Talk about them.
No, we definitely
Have
do.
interesting.
B9 S4 Turbo Inlet ETA. The Super Duper is in manufacturing right now. I don't have a date, but I think soon, next month or two, we should be able to have that. It's a really nice, beautiful cast aluminum part. The performance is there. It's highly configurable for various turbo options. So it is coming soon. I was personally very frustrated that we didn't have that out when we released our Stage 3 tuning, but getting, we do all our software engineering and development here in-house. We don't have a foundry in the back, unfortunately, so we have to rely on outside companies, and, the last 2 years has just been a nightmare. So there have been delays, but they are being cast. We just got a production sample and we approved it. We played around with the finish, so it'll be a very nice looking part, and it's coming. So hang in there. And we will have silicone adapters for our existing intakes to go full super duper. B9.5 S4 TCU tune ETA.
That is pretty imminent. There was just a couple little things we were polishing up on it.
We released RS5.
RS5
last week.
Yep. So yeah, I'm gonna say maybe by the end of the week we'll have some stuff coming out. I mean, it's all the same feature sets as are on the B9, so it's not gonna be a new web page or anything like that. So it's a pretty quick release for us. So yeah, hopefully that'll coming soon.
We're shooting for the end of the week.
Yep.
Anything planned or in the works for the 3.0 T turbo engine found in the Q7? How different is it from the engines found in the SQ5, S4, etc.? Maybe, or eventually. So we currently have a earlier gen Q7, which has the 3.0 T supercharged mode. And that's currently my daily driver. We will definitely be doing tuning for that. I suspect the Q7 3.0 T turbo motor is not that different, and we will get into that.
The Q7 stuff's tricky because it depends if it basically if the same team or same-ish team at Audi was working on that motor and drivetrain, and it carries enough over to the the performance platforms, the S's and the RS models, then it's kind of a not necessarily a freebie, but it's a much easier path for us to get product out to. If we have to do this huge ground up effort on it, and it's some totally new calibration strategy that's on it, a lot less of a chance. But I don't have a good that one. I haven't looked enough at the Q7s.
And just to be clear, I wouldn't hold your breath. This would be possibly a next year for us.
Yeah.
So
The Q models, unfortunately, we love them, but they're
they come second to the sedans.
much smaller modification market.
Yeah. Thankfully, the SQ5 was the same, so no change. Mm-hmm. Can I run TT 810 on the TTE 710 tune? You can. You could.
You can do a lot of things.
I saw a guy on YouTube jump off a 2-story building and land and roll. So maybe I could do it too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You can do many things. We do not recommend.
No, we do not currently have a tune in production or in the market that supports the 810. Now, what you've probably heard and what we're hearing is there are quite a few people now starting to run our 710 file on 810 turbos. And they say that they're having a good experience. Like
It's such a tight, dicey
the car's quicker, it runs fine, whatever. It's possible. It's totally possible. We have not put our engineering stamp of approval on that, and we will very likely recalibrate
There
the
will
file.
certainly be some recalibration.
I mean, just the boost curve alone is going to
Yeah,
be
no,
different.
VE is all different. I mean,
Yeah.
the fact that you're making more power with the bigger, I mean, yes, it is going to need a recalibration.
So we do not recommend it. We would adamantly tell you not to. It sounds like you can based on other people's experiences if you want to believe them.
There have been some Mavericks out there that
Yeah.
have just gone and done it.
But we do not recommend it, and we didn't condone it. If you do it and you blow up your motor, we will send you well
terrible.
wishes. But yeah, no, we're not. We just don't know yet, right? Because the only way we can say that it's okay is to go through our entire engineering process, and we haven't done it. I mean, we're doing it right now, but we're not there. Someone's asking about the roller rock issues. I think we addressed this a couple weeks ago.
Last stream.
It's really made a resurgence the last couple weeks. They take this one YouTube video as like.
Is it still just that one video?
It's the one
Yeah,
video.
I mean, there were some motors that had some rocker failures, but it's been an extremely limited amount that I've heard about.
At this point, it's come to where people don't want to buy a 2018 B9 because they're just like, yeah, can't do it.
I mean, we have a service.
We have a
department in here.
2018 B9.
All of our
most
of our development is
yeah.
on that car. This is really blown out of proportion. We have a service department here. We're not seeing it. I don't know what the dealerships are seeing. I'd be interested, but I really don't think
Right.
it's. I mean, this is not a widespread issue, and it sounds like there's one YouTube video who's probably got a tons of hits on it, a bunch of subscribers, maybe like.
Well, it's
somebody
very
from YouTube.
clickbaity topic. I'm not saying that all clickbaity topics are based in falsehoods, but it's one of those things where it's kind of a fear grab. Where
Is this coming from anywhere else other than this YouTube video?
I mean, there's been a couple of cases that
There
have
was
popped up, but
very early Audi thread about like 3 cars had
Yeah.
this problem and got warranty, but it's just been the fear of it ever since then.
These cars are like solid. They're I mean,
it's been a
maybe you guys haven't been around, during the B5 era, where you literally like your power steering hose would leak and you'd have to drop the entire
It
motor.
wasn't an Achilles heel; it was like an Achilles torso.
An
It
Achilles-
was just like 75% of everything attached to your drivetrain had some critical thing at some point in its life that would fail.
And then so much worse stuff,
Yeah.
all before and after that. So I mean,
It does. So, I mean, yeah, if a rocker arm fails, you have a potential for a bunch of problems.
it's just so rare, and so we're as a company that specializes in these cars, we're not seeing it. Want to address this one. Our turbo inlets for the B9 RS5 on the horizon. Looks like MTM is currently the only company offering this. Also, any updates on TT720? So I'll just warn you, and I'm sure we're going to release an RS5 inlet, but in our testing, the factory unit's really good, and on a kind of a stage 1, stage 2 basis with stock turbo, getting gains from the stock inlet is probably not a thing. This is actually not that different than the B9 3.0T, where the stock inlet flows perfectly good. And there's lots of inlets on the market that companies are selling, and people are installing them, and they really don't flow any better. Where the inlets start to make a difference is when you start going to bigger turbos. The factory inlet starts to become a restriction on, say, the TT710 and the 810, so on and so forth. The factory inlet's going to be a restriction. And it's probably going to be similar for the RS5, that we will probably just mostly focus on a super duper inlet for the RS5, because the factory RS5 inlet on stock turbo is really good, and we're just not seeing a lot of benefit there. The B9 piece is nice and small and it can be made cheaply, but the RS5 is a pretty big assembly. So you're talking about going to market with possibly a $600 or $800 or $1,000, in turbo inlet that has almost no gains
Yeah.
from stock.
Yeah. No, if we went super unethical business practices, we just make any product.
Well, because we're so unethical,
Because it
yeah.
could
We
fit.
we just go out there and sell people.
Like,
the
that's
things
why
that
we don't have a stage 2 tune for the RS5 either.
Yeah.
It's just the components that are provided flow well enough that it's just not needed. We're not
Yeah.
just going to sit here and shuck parts that don't make a difference and just empty your wallet.
That's right. And then as far as 720, we are working on it. We just finished B9.5 TCU calibrations. And, there's some housekeeping around stage 1, stage 2 stuff that we don't have stage 2, but around stage 1 that we're finishing up, and then we will jump into 720. The good news is your stock turbo RS5 is fucking face melting already. So
Yeah,
it will get even more face melty with the 720. But enjoy that E85 tune if you have it. It's ridiculous. I've driven a lot of fast cars. For what it is, it's probably one of the fastest cars I've ever driven. Just what it, based on it that it's at flash. And maybe an intercooler. Any experiences of failed DIY flashes using the USB cable, looking to bite the bullet and go stage 1 for my 2018 B9 S4, but worried about the possibility of a bricked ECU if the process failed. Would love to know more about the flashing process and what safety measures are built in to avoid a partial flash.
We don't. We do everything we can to make it as robust as possible. It is, it's one of those things. It's completely out of our control. Once it's in, your hands or on your laptop and flashing in your car.
And if you don't hook up a battery charger,
and there's so many things that are outside of our control. But what we do our best. All of the entire flash session, you could call it, is downloaded at once, and the flash doesn't start until your laptop, your specific setup has all of the information it needs to flash from start to finish. So if internet drops out or anything like that, you should still be left with a fully functioning flash vehicle. So there's considerations like that. We do everything we can to navigate the OEM's flash process as best as possible and build in as many redundancies as we can. That depends on the vehicle and the exact application as to what we can take advantage of. We're able to retry sectors here and there. It depends on the actual vehicle, but the flash stability. It's just we do everything we can to test the crap out of it. It's all basically a local flash. Once it's downloaded. So
let's just put it out there. Statistically speaking, the number of ECUs that get bricked on our flashing solution is basically 0%.
Yeah, it's very sub 8%.
When it does happen, there's always this kind of outside mitigating factor, and there's a reason for it.
Yep.
And we take care of it, right? Yeah. So we will go into full bricked ECU mode.
Yep.
We will send you all the tools you need to fix it.
Yeah, if it's something you can fix, we'll set you up with that. If it's something we just need the ECU here, we'll get it here and we'll turn it around.
All the overnight shipping, anything you need to do, because it happens so rarely that we can just throw everything. And frankly, we were talking about, we want to solve the problem.
Yeah.
We want to figure out why it happened, what's going on.
And there are some situations that are outside of our control. We have instances where there's problems with the OEM update process that will just throw a wrench in the works, and we have to recover it.
But now keep in mind
that could happen on a stock flash or a modded flash. It's just
as far as being concerned about it, though. Keep in mind, I don't know how many flashes. Our customers are flashing their ECUs many thousand times a year, brand new times, and then there's so many times that customers are just flashing. On the weekend,
changing maps.
They might flash their car 10, 20 times. Each time is a possibility to brick, and it doesn't. So that's why I say the percentage is about 0%, because maybe out of tens of thousands of flashes, it happens once a year. So it's just a really, really rare occurrence. It's nothing that you need to be worried about. Definitely don't not get a tune because of the possibility of that. I think the chance of much worse things happening are much higher. Just in the rest of your life, this is a very low percentage. This is kind of like being worried about dying in a commercial airplane crash.
Yeah, and and it's one of those things too. Is like there's a lot you can do to make even if there is a non-perfect experience, you can make your life a lot better by not doing things like flashing at like gas stations for the first time or outside of McDonald's, on the side of the road somewhere. Just take your time, make sure you've got the situation set up properly. So, just like with anything else, especially if it's the first time going through the whole process, just Do it somewhere.
All right, let's start.
Safe where you
cracking.
can
We got a million
chill.
questions there. Can we talk more about TC tunes for the B8.5? We have AMAX and then another one with shift points 72, 73.
Yep, there's a lot of options on
The ECU is limited to just 7,000, right? Just wondering about the TC tunes.
ECU is not limited to 7200. That's going to depend. Well, again, that depends on what stage calibration you have. So the rev limit does change depending on stage of calibration. You obviously need to run a TCU with a shift point below the engine red line. So engine red line minimum, I think, on everything right now for the B8 3-liter is 7400. Starting at stage 1, and then stage 2 plus can go up to 7600. So you'd have to have TCU selection for that. So, we can't sit there and make like 15 different TCU products and put one file in each one. It would just, where do you want the clutter, either in the beginning or when you're picking the file. So, you've got to apply a little bit of common sense around it. And you can always ask us, just shoot us a message and we can let you know what's optimal for your setup.
Yeah, tuning at 034 Motorsport. Any plans to tune the MQB in the new Gen 3B cycle? We do not have any plans to do tuning for the Tiguan specifically. That's just not in our current plans. And it doesn't mean we won't at some point, but right now we're not focused on it. Will you ever make a 034 iOS app with a Bluetooth OBD so we can tune straight from our phones? It's definitely something we'd like to do in the future. Yep. It's definitely something we will eventually have. Pierce 750 tuning coming this year. Is that one of the ones where
it's already?
Yep.
Yeah, we will be doing the 750. What about the 700?
That got.
Yeah,
I think we kiboshed.
We're not doing the 700. So we will definitely do 750.
Yes, the 700 got.
Yeah,
750.
Plus the 750 is 50. So we wouldn't want
Definitely 50.
Thoughts on RS3 stock rods? Most say 550 torque. Blah blah blah. So if you want to know what we think, just go look at the dyno curves on our stage 2 tuning for the TTRS and RS3. That torque limit we have proven that torque curve and that amount we have proven safe for these motors. We actually know because on our in-house car we did push it too far and we threw it.
Just like everyone else.
A rod came out the crankcase, through the block, through the transfer case, through the diff.
Yeah, bevel box.
And I think bounced off the firewall.
It's like it just said F you and everything it could,
and then it went like 3 feet into the ground and buried itself under the
that thing was pissed off.
But yeah, no, it did about $20,000 damage to the car.
But that was also, it chose to check out like full tilt boogie on a racetrack.
Yeah. So we know.
It was
so
loaded.
Go look at our tune. That's what's safe. We've proven it. And if you want a safe tune, you can use our tune, which is also very, very fast. It drives wonderfully smooth and OEM-like, but also really
Good and
fast and aggressive as well. Is it true you're not going to do an ECU Stage 2 tune for the RS5? Yes, it's true. The reason is there's no gain. There's no power difference. So if you would like to put a high-flow cat on a stock turbo car and increase your emissions output, there will be no gain in power anywhere that we could measure. The factory cats on the RS5 flow as much as the stock turbo will ever need, even with the 85. This will likely change with bigger turbo options, and so, it's likely that the 720 will be for off-road use only and will require high-flow cats. But for all of you RS5 guys, and I understand there's a bunch who ran out and bought high-flow cats for your stock turbo cars, you don't need them. They don't add any. They might be a little louder. I imagine the exhaust note's probably louder, but there is no power gain. So what are we supposed to do? We're not going to support an off-road use tune, a racing use tune, for no benefit. So save yourself the money and run the stock cats with the stock turbos. Be basically emissions legal, have factory emissions output, and still go really, really fast.
Yep.
But yeah, I think a lot of companies out there would have kind of fudged the numbers a little bit and done a cold pull and said that there was 15 more horsepower and then sold you another $200 tune. But we're not going to do that. Will S3 parts fit the TTS? Some
certainly will.
depends what generation we're talking about as well.
Yeah,
But yeah,
the drivetrains are very, very similar.
very soon.
The TTs generally have different control arms and some knuckles and things, but most of the other stuff will cross over.
The TT is a different car.
It's definitely a different chassis. Yeah,
it has a wider track. It's lighter car,
Yep.
and then there's some differences like the front lower control arms,
Yep.
aluminum in the TTs. So there's like from the base TT up to the TTRS, there's kind of certain configuration that those cars come in, and then there's kind of the 8 V8 V.5, A3 S3, and that kind of goes up. And then there's some small tweaks with like spring rates and sway bars. But the nice thing about Audis is they're basically they take the base car and they only add what's needed to make it perform better. BMWs, like the M cars, are totally
different suspension setup. Yeah.
different springs, different struts, different sway bar. I mean, completely different to the point where the parts don't even.
You can't interchange.
So, but if you go on our website, you can put in your S3 or your TTS, whichever one you have, and you can see what fits on it. My cold starts sound a lot quieter with the tune than when it was stock on my RS3.
I don't know what your setup is, so I'm not sure.
I mean, we would be surprised.
Stage 1 should be the same. Catalyst seating and all that. So
It shouldn't be, right? There's no.
It should be the
we
same.
don't make
Yeah.
it quieter. Do you guys recommend running catch can on a C7 A6 3-liter? We're not super familiar with that car as far as we don't track that car. We haven't done any testing on that.
Same engine as his car.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, we just don't know for
Yeah.
sure. Generally, if you have oil in your turbo inlet
supercharged.
or your supercharger inlet, if you have oil in your induction track, then that means you have oil coming out of your crankcase going into your motor.
Yeah, but those are. I mean, the PCV system's pretty solid.
Pretty
And
good.
when it's not, it is a failure point. You got to replace the actual unit.
Yeah, they do
the supercharger.
And they can make a loud screaming whistle.
They can make some terrible sounds because it's weird vacuum and burping oil going fast.
It's like a massive whistle. ECTC turn work on a 2022 SQ5. Still waiting on a reply back from customer service. Parts and plan like X pipes and downpipe.
I mean, we already have
Yes.
pretty much all
Yeah.
of that. Yeah,
It does on our website
That's all
too?
a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all on.
Okay, check our website. Go to the product. Put your car in on the website.
18 plus means
Yeah. So if it says plus or through current or whatever, then that means you're good. At some point, so the SQ5 hasn't really changed since 2018. At some point, there'll be a new generation.
Some facelift stuff here and there.
The facelift stuff hasn't
ECU changes, but
it hasn't affected. But when the next generation, the B10 SQ5 comes out, whenever that is, then there will be major changes, and then we'll cap off the applications on the website. But you should be good. Woof woof from this old dog to you all. P.S. We S8 guys just show up. Thank you. I believe this is the nice gentleman who came and talked to me at the barbecue, and we were talking charcoal for a few minutes. Thank you for saying hi and being here. We appreciate it. Thanks for coming to the open house as well. So we really appreciate the support. Thank you. And he's not as old as he says. He sounds like he's like 150, but he's not that. What else? IS38 tune for the GTI Mark 7. I currently have your complete stage 2 tune, but want to go IS38. We are working on that right now.
Yep.
So hang in there. Thank you. Does the B8.5 TCU tune add horsepower if added to stage 1 tune?
I mean, it's required for the tune. So yes,
Yeah.
you will be capped with the amount of torque you're allowed to make.
B8.5. It's not required.
Stage what are you?
The
talking
8.5 TCU
3-liter?
Stage 1 TCU is required for stage 1 ECU. For stage 2, it's recommended.
I'd have to check that. It might be right at the limit. I mean, it depends. We can go back and forth with logs, but it's probably close. We'll confirm it with you. I thought that was recommended on those or required on those.
But if you do it, is there any more power?
Well, that's what I'd have to check. We'd have to look at
Yeah.
logs. It depends. It can depend on environmental stuff too, because it is at the limit. So, colder situations, denser air, you could potentially make more than what the stock cap is.
At a minimum, you can rev an extra 1,000 RPM.
So the biggest thing, yes, that's a very good point. The biggest thing, you will make more power because almost the biggest chunk of your gains on the B8.5 is north of your 6,400 RPM rev limit on those. Because those had an even lower limit than the B8s, so you will make a bunch more power just by having more, RPM to use, and that's where the peak power is.
Superchargers like to fit.
All right, let's keep moving on. Given the price of your B8.5 Heat Exchanger, how do you compare its reduced IATs to that of Merc Racing or PLM heat exchangers? We have not done any direct comparisons or testing to any competitive products on the market. All we can say is our intercooler is the biggest that we could fit in there. It is very efficient at reducing temps, and I'll say its construction and the quality of the materials are superior to anything else that's on the market. We have billet end tanks that are fully configurable for different applications, and our core is a reputably manufactured CSF unit with, again, very, very high efficiency and very good quality construction. We could have gone to just China and had like some generic heat exchanger made. We chose not to do that. Ours is more expensive for a reason, because of the quality and construction materials. I don't know a lot about the other units. I understand that lots of people run some of the other options on the market. I'm happy with them, and that's great. But we
can only
do
speak
not,
for our efforts.
we have not done any back-to-back testing against what else is out there, and we generally don't. We generally don't worry too much about what everyone else is doing, and we engineer and take on products to the and create the kind of quality or performance that we believe is required for the application. Real quick before we get too far in, there's been lots of questions about 4.0 T density motor mounts over the past year or two, and thank God they're finally released and on the market. We've sold a bunch, and they continue to sell, but they are released and for sale. Let's see here. And so we have a comparison here of a factory versus our density. I think I can do it. So this is a factory mount that's cut in half, and you can see that there's a big void here where rubber is missing. This is filled with hydraulic fluid from the factory, and there's some valving here that when this mount compresses, the fluid is passed through this essentially valving, and attempts to create kind of a dampening effect, like a shock absorber would. It's a nice idea and concept. What ends up happening is, because of the small amount of rubber that's there, and the fact that this fluid always seems to find a way to leak out. So once the fluid is gone, the mount collapses because there's not enough rubber to support it, and the mount fails. This is like universal on every 4.0 T mount. So what we have done is we've gone in there and re-engineered the voids. This is mostly void free, although we do keep some voids in because we're tuning the performance of the mount. There's a lot more rubber here. This mount, it does not require the fluid to be inside it to support it, and consequently this will last much longer than the factory mount. We don't know for sure, but many of our density mounts are lifetime mount products that virtually never need to be replaced. And this is the full assembly with the bottom and everything on it. And you can see on one of the mounts we left a small void here because we are tuning the performance of the mount. So we don't just blindly fill it in with rubber. We do re-engineer it. So these are in stock and available to ship. I think they're $7.95 a pair, which is about the price of one factory mount to replace. I was hoping that we could bring them to market for even cheaper, but they're not cheap to make. You can see this is a very complex assembly. I mean, you have You have a stamped cup here. You have various machined steel parts. All this rubber, the vulcanization. So I mean, it's an expensive mount to do. And
Not to mention, doesn't throw error codes for two sensors.
yes, good point. So we have a factory sensor here, which is no longer doing anything. So the factory mount actually has a coil in there, and when the coil is energized, it can stiffen up the mount. So we removed all that because you don't need that, but we kept the electronics in there that now don't do anything. But they keep the factory electronics system happy. So you can just plug that right into the factory system and you will not have any check engine codes or anything like that. Really awesome product. We're, again, another really proud product that we've brought to market. We're very proud of it. And I think it really fills a huge need in the market. And this is a engineering specialty that we bring to the market. So hopefully you guys can benefit from this. It will at least save anyone money who's interested in who needs to replace their failed stock mounts, which on every 4.0T. We even had we wanted to test him in an RS7. Local guy came in, of course, one of his mounts was blown. And it was actually the driver's side, which everyone always thinks only the passenger side mount fails, but it was actually the driver's side. Because, the motor kind of torques the side. So anyways, in stock ready to ship. Thank you.
Someone's asking, what does the motor mount do? It
there you
attaches your motor to your chassis. So
Yes.
without it, it would just
This
spin in circles.
This is what the motor sits on and is supported in the car by these. If you didn't have motor mounts and your motor was attached directly to the frame, your teeth would rattle out.
Yeah.
It would be horrible.
Yeah. So this is the interface. Literally, this little chunk here is your primary interface between the motor and literally attaching it to the chassis of the vehicle. So it needs to have some isolation there. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to get some unpleasant vibrations.
Yes. Is there a way to see if you have updated a tune without dragging my laptop out? Yes, you will be emailed if something new
Yeah, for
changes.
the big updates, you'll get an email.
And we have been doing that for a while now. We didn't used to do that. That was a long time. Lots of talk of B9 power falling off at the upper rev range and guys short shifting the 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 shift manually for better times. Thoughts on this? Yes.
Yeah, we have a tune that is designed to account for that. So that's our stage 2 TCU tune for those, is because the power does nosedive pretty quickly.
And this is because of the size of the stock turbo.
Yep.
is running out of ability to flow air. And this is what happens when a turbo is undersized for an application, which the factory turbo is sized really nicely for stock tuning.
Yep.
It has a nice smooth torque curve and a nice power band that builds, to redline. But we go in, as every other tuning company will, and we maximize the flow capabilities of the turbo. This means that the turbo can flow a lot of air at the lower RPMs, but proportionately cannot keep up as the engine spins and has more combustion cycle events. So the power does fall off, and what we see in these 3.0T motors on the stock turbo is they produce maximum peak power and torque up through like the 5,500 to 6,000 max RPM range. The motor can rev a lot higher than that, which may be fine if you're on track and you want to stay in third gear through that corner and you don't want to shift, and you can just tack out at 7,000 and run through the corner. But if you actually want to accelerate down the drag strip, you are going to need to shift a lot sooner than that because the power band is dropping off. The solution to this, TT 710, 810, Pure 750, Turbo Technics, whatever you name it, bigger turbos allow more power and the higher rev ranges. The trade-off is you lose that power down low. So you're going to start feeling that more lagginess in the 2 to 3,000, 3,500 RPM range. There's just no free line. Let's see. After intercooler install on B9 3.0T, people report their charge pipes blow off a lot. Do you have a recommended torque spec for those hose clamps to the throttle body? That's a good question. I found over the years that people do not tighten torque clamps enough. We really saw this on, they don't tighten hose clamps enough. We saw this a lot on our 270 throttle body boot, where customers would swear the clamps wouldn't hold and blah blah blah, and they come in. They were local. And it's like, dude, these are like finger tight. You got to get you need to get on these hose clamps. You need to get a wrench and socket on there. And you have to be careful. There is a spec for this. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know that it's about 0.75 grunts
Yeah.
to get the average hose clamp tight. So
One thing a lot of people don't think about too is you need to make sure your surfaces are clean and get any oil and anything that's in there. The clamp is not going to be able to overpower a oiled interface between the tube and the,
yeah, so you want to use some brake cleaner
Yeah.
or degreaser and really clean that so that surface is dry and squeaky.
And if it pops off once, like maybe you didn't have something tight enough or wasn't aligned well, you'll usually get like a little blast of like oil vapor just because there's almost always some in the intake tract, and that's going to put a little film of basically a lubricant on all of those surfaces. So you got to make sure those get really clean and dry, and like you can like squeak your finger across it.
Yeah, that's
before you
good
put it in
advice. But tightening the clamp appropriately is by far the most important. First,
Yep.
so I would just either look at the factory spec or maybe buy some clamps. You just want to get them as tight as you can before they strip.
Yeah.
As tight as you can until they strip is. So I think for a lot of us, we have a good sense of where that is, and we can just kind of get right up on it. The other thing is you can upgrade the clamps if this is a problem. You can do, some good quality liner clamps, which I generally prefer. You could even go to T-bolt clamps if you want.
I guess it's for it.
They're really unnecessary for
Yeah.
the average turbocharger application.
Yeah, and I don't know what application or what kit this is referring to specifically, but hoses can make a big difference too, depending on the hose construction.
Yeah.
Some will balloon more than others.
Why does your B8 Q5 lowering springs drop so much more than all the other springs? Well, it's because the Q5 is so much.
It starts in the stratosphere.
Yeah. If we just dropped the 1 inch that we do on a lot of cars, I mean, our R8 springs only drop like quarter inch. I mean, it's so that the R8 is already really low stock. The Q5 is really high. Even if you have a base A4 versus the Sport Package A4, it's going to lower it. So
Yeah, we had some guys in Europe or other markets where they've got different suspension combos than what we have here. So it's not like, oh, it only dropped my car, a half inch or 3/8 of an inch versus our claims 3/4. It's the cars will all start in a different thing depending on their packages.
someone's asking, what's the best sway bar for B8.5 S4 that makes the most difference in the feel of the car? Obviously, we're going to recommend our 034 S4. We sell so many.
Yeah.
We sell so many of them.
That is one of the most transformative parts you can put on the back of that car.
The problem is some of the other options on the market that you may have heard of, they may reduce body roll a little bit more, but they're not going to make the car turn and drive more dynamically.
Usually they're all compared to the front bar.
So they're basically going to keep the push that's in the stock car, but you're going to feel a little bit more flat handling. But your handling will still be lower.
Yep.
And you won't be able to get through a corner as fast. Strongly recommend our rear sway bar. You're only going to have to buy one sway bar, and the feedback on it is universally amazing. I think there's tons of good reviews on your website as well. Will you be at SEMA? Yes, we will. We will be in the main hall associated with the Euro Motor Parts Group booth, or the empty booth, where empty will be very prominently positioned. We are connected to MP now, and it's been one of the huge advantages is they have, because they've been in business for like 45 years, they have like almost the highest SEMA booth priority.
Yeah, SEMA booths come with seniority first, as far as I understand.
The longer you've been doing
it,
it,
the longer you've been a part of their organization, you just get inched up through the line of booth preference.
And we have a very exciting car that we'll be featuring in our booth with a very well-known social media influencer, who I don't think he's attacking anyone else. He just talks about our products. Yeah, he's just a nice guy. I think if he was attacking our competitors, we wouldn't want to be associated with, especially if he was just making stuff up. So, anyways, we will be at SEMA. We'd love to meet with you, and we will be there.
Can you restate which sway bar we recommend? The guy didn't hear you.
The 034 Motorsport one. Yeah, just go on our website, put in your make model, and there will be one sway bar option that pops up for you. We are 034 Motorsport, right? So it's like you're talking to the company that designs, engineers, and makes the parts, and we're not like a online shopping e-commerce website, so we don't offer all the other options that are out there. But we're going to offer our option, which
Does your
We've
rear sway bar add body roll? No.
no, definitely not.
A sway bar's purpose, and when you go bigger and bigger on bars, is fundamentally it's going to reduce body roll. It's linking your two suspension, two sides of your suspension together, and that will effectively link it to the body. So as the body tries to roll, it's going to try and basically lift up both wheels actually. But
Yeah, no, but to be clear, our sway bar reduces body roll,
reduce it.
and will help your car turn in more sharply and more precisely, as opposed to when you turn the steering wheel and the car goes like this. When you turn the steering wheel, the car is going to turn. So that's the idea. And here's another comment above it. Someone says S5 Stage 1 and rear sway bar, amazing improvement, great product, guys. So I think that could be a B8.
Yep.
But no, the feedback on the 034 Motorsport rear sway bar, you don't need to install a front sway bar, is phenomenal, and we have very good feedback. All right, we got 4 minutes left. B8 3.0 TFSI PCV valves. Had an S5 and an SQ5, both went bad. Expensive repairs. Any solutions?
Well, I mean, what was your mileage and stuff on those? I mean, those are just. It's one of those things like you kind of got to replace it at a certain amount of miles.
It's something I would like to address. We don't currently have it's a concept in our engineering queue, but we don't have a solution on the horizon. It's something we think we can improve.
We know they're not a forever part, but they do.
It is maintenance. Yeah.
It's a maintenance part, but they do their job quite well when they're being when they're working correctly and in their maintenance windows. So. It's not been a burning product that we got to really address right away.
Yeah. What do you think is the best tune for the MQB platform 2.0T?
I like ours again.
Yeah, I'd say the 034 Motorsport. These are interesting questions.
Yeah, that's another tough one to answer.
We're going to recommend our product.
Yeah.
Hopefully you know that.
They didn't know that we.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, we have a tune.
So again, if you have any questions about whether we make a product or not, go on our website, put in your car.
Yep.
And you'll see it. It'll pop up. But you could probably watch some of our other videos where we talk about why we believe our tuning is the best on the market.
Yeah, we have MQB tunes. We have full carb certification on all those as well. That'll be rolling out more on the website soon. So yeah, not carb certification, carb exemption.
Someone says, my B9 2018 SQ5 had a steering rack that pretty much imploded. The rocker thing worries me on my early B9. Yeah, the steering rack thing we've seen, and that's actually much more common.
No, it's
all
across
B9 chassis. They all use the same rack. The rocker arm thing, again, maybe it'll get worse in the future, but we really haven't seen it. Someone says 0314, great job being transparent. Thank you. We really appreciate you noticing. We try. Is there an ETA for high pressure fuel pump update file for the B9 3.0T?
Yes.
Yes, it's coming.
The date has been set.
Date has been set. You will likely see much more information before the weekend.
Nice. B9 SQ5 downpipe. We're not sure. Probably not. Wagner has a good one, and I think that wouldn't be very different than what we already have. I'm not sure if it's a huge market. We are doing less and less of these racing cats as time goes on because it's not getting a lot easier to do them.
Yeah.
Um.
So another one, why isn't there a Stage 2 TCU tune for the B8.5? That application. So. There's a couple of ways to go about it. The Stage 1 TCU tune for the B9 was just a torque unlock. So there wasn't any added shift parameters that changed the feel or the performance from the transmission other than just the torque unlock. So to get an actual performance calibration out of it, and it was a free file. To get the performance improvements or updates to the TCU tune, that's what we call the Stage 2 on the B9. So it's just semantics really. I mean the B8 we started with a performance-oriented tune already. We didn't do just an unlock on that one. because as Nick mentioned earlier, we didn't necessarily need it on all of the stage 1 cars, whereas on the B9 we did. So.
ETN B9 high pressure fuel pump. We are currently testing production units. We should have them soon.
Yes.
So again, this is another product we would love to have had out
in a number of vehicles,
a long time. So are we out of time?
Oh, geez.
Okay.
Probably get
Well, thank you for joining us. Thanks for hearing us out and listening. We always appreciate it. And thank you for all the great questions. I think we'll see you next week. That shouldn't be a problem. I think we'll be settling into a fall schedule soon. So.
Okay.
All right. Cheers.